2, 3, 4.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Korudo here with episode 3 of Korudo's Gaming Reviews. Sorry it's been so long since my last review, but what can I say? Life happens. We're here to talk about an alternative to an arcade joystick and more, the Catz Fightpad. I'm going to go over the features, the pros and cons, and my conclusion. The features include a floaty D-pad. I never realized until I got one, but the D-pad is really, really good. It's kind of like an analog stick, where see how it's really loose? Even though it's really loose, it's quite responsive. It will detect your motions really easily. It's one of the best D-pads I've ever seen for fighting games and otherwise. I'm really impressed with that. Now the buttons, you have, on the PlayStation 3 version, you have square, triangle, R1, X, circle, and R2. You have your turbo button and the turbo light right here. You have your select, your start button, and the PlayStation home button. Or if you have an Xbox, the Xbox guide button. On the back, we have this rubber grip, which is really nice for when you're playing a lot and your hands get sweaty. This is much nicer than just the standard plastic. It also comes with the PlayStation 3 version only comes with the battery pack, which takes 2 AA batteries. Now, since it uses AA batteries, it uses this USB dongle. Now, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this thing. I love it because you can plug it into the PlayStation 3 or your computer and use it for both applications, just like an arcade stick. But the problem I have with it is, there's no place to put it into the controller when you're not using it. So, if you lose this, you're kind of screwed. As long as you hang on to it, it's great. Now, let's get on to the pros and the cons. So, the pros of this thing, well, it's basically, you can use it as a substitute to an arcade stick. By that I mean, you don't really go out and buy an arcade stick to play fighting games. You could just use a controller, but you don't want to use a regular controller because that's just not quite right for it. The pros are, it is certainly better for fighting games than the 6-axis PlayStation 3 controller. In fact, you can use it for any kind of 2D game, like with Sonic Ultimate Genesis Collection. It works really, really well there. In fact, it feels a lot like a Sega Genesis controller with the Batarang design and everything. I'm pretty sure the creators modeled them after either the Sega Genesis or Sega Saturn or both controllers, which is a good thing. The buttons are very, very responsive. I think it's because, I guess they're close to the sensors, so it doesn't take much effort to press them. Plus, they're digital only, not analog. Now, don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, but with this, how responsive they are, I'm pretty sure they're just digital. So, one press, one function, that's it. Even the shoulder buttons, which is a good thing. It's much more compact than an arcade stick, which is great for portability. So, if you want to take, let's just say, Super Street Fighter 4 or Blaze Blue, Calamity Trigger, over to a friend's house, and they want to try it out, but you don't want to use the regular controller, just bring this with you. It's very, very nice. This is also good if you just feel like being lazy, because with arcade sticks, as great as they are, as much as an arcade experience they give you, it's kind of involving. By that I mean you can't just sit back and casually play the game. You kind of have to be sitting up, pressing the buttons on the controller, and moving the joystick with your left hand. Which isn't that big of a deal, but sometimes you just want to chill. Either play 2D games or fighting games at your leisure. With the Xbox 360 controller, I believe it has a lot of wire, so you don't need to worry. And the PS3 version's wireless, so it's really nice. Another good thing about this, which I really like, is the battery life. Even though it uses AA batteries, in addition to the fact you can turn it on and off, the battery life is really good. I mean, I think it could last you a whole day, maybe even longer. And I'm talking like 24 entire hours. So if you only play a little bit here and there, it's going to last you quite a long time. So, that's a lot of good things about it. Let's talk about some of the not-so-good things. The fact that it requires AA batteries is kind of annoying. I mean, the PlayStation 3 version, you can charge them using a USB, which I would have preferred. Although, because of the USB, you can plug it into your computer, but still, it would have been nice to not have any kind of dongle at all. Speaking of the USB, it takes up a USB port. Now, I have a 60GB model of the PlayStation 3, so it doesn't really bother me much. But for people who like to use different things in your PlayStation 3 for USB like a USB headset or whatever, it's kind of annoying because the newer models only have the 2. As much as I like this D-pad, it's not perfect. And the one problem I have with it in fighting games is that you have to really exaggerate your motions. Like if you want to do a fireball, you gotta go like that. You can't just do it really quick. You gotta make sure you're pressing down the whole time. And on other pads you have to do that too, but it's a little more noticeable here because otherwise it's quite responsive. And the last thing is the shoulder buttons. Yeah, these aren't very durable, I'm sorry to say. It's probably the one major problem with the buttons. So like, luckily my left bumper works just fine. But my right one doesn't work at all. Even if it's going down, it's not registering. But with most fighting games you only need 6 buttons, so it's not that big of a deal. So again, compared to the pros, those are just minor gripes. So my conclusion is, I would say definitely go for this. If you don't want to go get an arcade stick, this is an excellent substitute. And if you just want to use this to play 2D games, it's also quite good. I was a little bit skeptical because Mad Catz made it, and Mad Catz before Street Fighter 4 never really had a good track record, at least for me. So I didn't want to go and spend $150 on a tournament edition stick at the time. So I got a Fightpad just to try it out, and I really like it a lot. So basically, I consider this a complement or a substitute for an arcade stick. I got both just because I wanted to try both things out. I like both experiences. I grew up playing games on D-pads, so I figured why not. And I did not regret this at all. Now, here's some footage of me using the Fightpad in action. Alright, so here we are. We're going to do a little test run, just to show you how it works. Punch buttons. Kicks. Very responsive. Not very hard to do the move either. Let's try it with an ultra combo. See, that was a piece of cake. So as you can see, it works just fine. I've had mine for a couple of months now, and I have no problems with it. Quite responsive, good product, and I'm surprised. Mad Catz really changed my mind about them. I would say for anybody who's interested, just go out and buy one. It's quite good, and you won't regret it. Just make sure you hang on to that dongle if you get the PlayStation 3 version. So, until next time, this has been Korudo. Thank you for watching.